What's going on, everybody? Before we get started with the video, I just want to send out a huge thank you to everyone. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That was a very hard milestone to hit, so thank you all so much for subscribing and for watching all the videos. And make sure to double check if you are subscribed. If you aren't, please consider it, and I would really appreciate it. Let's get started with the video. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be installing a brand new head unit on my wife's Supra, and this is long overdue. Her head unit is all Japanese. I will insert some clips of using it here. So here it is. It's pretty unusable since it's all in Japanese. Paige somehow figured out how to connect her phone to it, so she is able to play music. Yeah, see, I don't even know. Oh, okay. See, some things are in English, but then like, if you, like, all these things are in Japanese. Sometimes it also talks to you in Japanese. I think I have a clip of that. And the one we're going to be installing is a Sony, and it is the XAV-AX1000 model. And this was actually a Christmas gift for my wife from my dad. And the only criteria I gave him was it had to be a Japanese brand, and I really wanted it to have a volume knob for her. And I will show you why right now. Here's what it looks like when you have to turn the volume down. So you have to press that button a bunch of times. And it beeps really loud, even louder than the music. So having a volume knob is going to be a big improvement. So since it already has an aftermarket head unit, I'm hoping that this is going to be just easy plug and play, but you never know. Let's open this thing up and see what's inside. So we've got the head unit, and you can see that this one actually is a lot smaller than a lot of older head units. I think hers takes up like the full thing. I don't really know how to say it, but it's got the little plastic on there. We'll remove that. You can see the volume knob. We got the instructions. Hopefully we don't need it. A remote, but I don't know who in 2022 is using a remote on their head unit in their car. We have, this looks like a microphone. We're not going to be setting that up. Hers actually already has one in there, I'm pretty sure, kind of like on the A-pillar. And then we've got a little pigtail here. Hopefully we don't need this, and hopefully it already has one, but it looks like this is pretty specific. And here's what the hookups on the back look like. And we got some screws. Let's get started. All right, we got the battery disconnected. Let's go ahead and get the dash pieces pulled off and get the old head unit removed. I'm gonna go ahead and just remove all the dash pieces. I'm not really gonna film all of it or show you how to do it. I've recorded several videos on how to remove these dash pieces, so go check those videos out if you need to learn how. Okay, and we got everything removed. When you want to remove this piece right here, I've explained this in many videos, but you have to remove everything except for this piece. So it's pretty ridiculous how much you have to remove just to get to this area here. So we got everything unplugged. Make sure you don't lose any of these in the back. I've done that before. I think I just need to remove these 4 screws. You can't see these back there. One, and there's another one there. And then the whole thing should pull out. All right, let's see if this thing just pulls out. Oh yeah, oh Jesus. We got the head unit removed, and this is what the old head unit was using. So these are the 2 harnesses that connect up to the Toyota factory harness, and then this is what the Pioneer head unit was using. So I am gonna have to take this home and figure out how to make these 2 work with the new one that came with the Sony. It's the same connector, like 8-pin, but it's slightly different. This one doesn't fit up to the new Sony. So I'm gonna have to somehow figure out what all these wires do and where they're supposed to go. A lot of them are labeled, you can see that. So hopefully that helps me. And then there were these 2 pink and purple wires that were going to a separate place. I don't really know what they do, but I unplugged those and we'll figure it out, so wish me luck. We are back at the house and we have the new and the old head unit and the new harness here that we need to attach to the Toyota ones here. And this is what the old head unit was using. Now it looks like a jumbled mess, but it's actually not. It's gonna be pretty straightforward. I had a long call with my buddy Andreas, who knows a lot about this car audio, wiring and everything. He knew what every color wire goes to. So I talked to him for like 30 minutes. He walked me through the whole thing. So we are going to go ahead and wire this up to these two white ones here. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And I'll show you kind of what each wire does. So the great thing about pretty much every aftermarket stereo wiring harness is that they all use consistent colors for everything. So like I said, when I was talking to my buddy Andreas, he pretty much knew what every single color does. So if we look at the kind of right half of the old harness, you can see these 8 wires right here. The purple and the green are for the rear speakers. And the great thing about them is that they are labeled. So you can see it says rear R, so these are the rear right speakers, and it has a plus and minus, so you can tell which one is positive and negative. The green are for the rear left, and then the white and gray are for the front speakers. White is for the front left, and the gray is for the front right. And if you don't know anything about wiring, it's very important to know that the wire with a black line, when you have a set of them like this, the black line is negative and the one with no black line is positive. And if you ever forget, you can look at where they're labeled. So this is the one with the black line here, and you can see it says front negative. You can see the black line going through there. And then if we look at the other side, each of these wires does something different. And the great thing about this one, again, is that they're all labeled. So if we look at red, this is ACC, so that's power. The blue is antenna control. Orange is illumi, so that's illumination for the dash lights. Black is ground, so that's important to know. Yellow is backup, so this is actually backup power. It's funny that all of these are also in Japanese. That's pretty cool. Let's see what else there is. I think that might have been all the wires. And then you can also see this little loop on the blue wire. That's normal. So we'll leave that like it is. Oh, and green. The green is the parking brake, but they actually just have that spliced into the ground wire. So we're going to keep that consistent as well. And lastly are these pink and purple wires. We are actually probably not going to use them. The purple, we had to look it up, was input for a backup camera. The pink is some kind of speed sensor, so I think that might have been used for the GPS to monitor what speed the car was going. This head unit probably wasn't made during a time where the navigation or the GPS could just monitor how fast you're going, so it probably needed some kind of sensor for that. I don't know if that's correct, but let me know what you think. Again, I'm kind of just doing this all for the first time, learning as I go. And I should probably also mention that the yellow wire, which was the backup power, has this kind of thing here you could splice something into if you want. We're not going to use that, so we're just going to cut that off. So what we need to do is we're not going to use any of this anymore, or any of these. All we need are these 2 white connectors. And we are going to basically just take that and splice in the new harness. And we are going to do it 1 wire at a time. So we're not going to just cut the whole thing and then wire it up, especially with these speaker wires, because you can see that the colors aren't consistent. White doesn't just wire up to white, gray doesn't just wire up to gray. They're kind of different colors. So we're going to do these 1 wire at a time, or maybe a pair at a time, so that way we don't get confused. I do have a lot of experience with soldering, so this should be no problem for me. And yeah, let's get started. And I forgot to mention, when you are purchasing and installing a brand new head unit, definitely keep the instructions, because that's going to be super helpful if you've never done this before. If you don't have any soldering experience, I definitely recommend giving it a shot and learning how to do it. I'm sure there's tons of YouTube videos out there that will teach you how, and the equipment is super cheap. This soldering iron that I'm using, I got for like 12 bucks several years ago, and it still works perfectly fine. In this time lapse, you'll see me just stripping the ends of the wires, soldering them together, and then applying the shrink tubing. All of it is very easy, and you can definitely pick it up quickly. It'll save you hundreds of dollars with not having to go to a car audio installer. Okay, you guys, I got the harness all finished, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I forgot to mention the reason why I had to do this. The two plugs are actually slightly different. They look the same, but they are actually different. So I couldn't just reuse this one. I did have to splice the new one onto there. So pretty happy, like I said, with how this turned out. I'm gonna go ahead and just zip tie this up a little, keep it all together, and then we'll go install it, and hopefully it turns on. Let's plug this bad boy in. And then we are gonna plug in the purple thing too. Okay. And then we are gonna also plug in this right here, which is for the antenna. And my buddy told me if you don't plug this in and if it just sits on the middle of the car, the engine sound will actually come through the speakers, which is crazy. So we don't want that to happen. So even though we're not using the antenna, we are gonna plug that back in. There it is. Okay. All right, we've got it hooked up. I plugged the battery back in, and let's just turn the key and see if it turns on. Might take a second. There it is. Wow, look at that. We are gonna go ahead and connect her phone. We're gonna put everything back together on the car, and then we'll go ahead and connect her phone and test it out. Ooh. Yeah. One thing that we've had for a long time that we haven't been able to install just because we haven't felt like removing all the dash pieces is this little button right here. We have a brand new blank from Toyota, and that's the part number. Now, some of these are different. I don't know exactly which ones. If you flip it over, you can actually see that this one and this one have the clip in the middle, and then this one, for some reason, is slightly off to the side. So this is the one with the clip in the middle, so it'll work for both of these. But if you need this one, it's slightly different. And it looks like I might be able to see the part number. There it is. Bam. There we go. And just like that, everything is back together. Here's how it looks. Looks really nice. Looks like it was made for this car. Here, let me jump in real quick. Very clean look. Let's get your phone connected. And I have to plug the battery back in. God damn it.
What a build up for nothing.
All right, take two. Woo! All right, so we're gonna do English. Ooh, that's loud.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that XAV thing, yeah. All right, it just started playing music. So phone's connected. The GoPro died, so switched over to my iPhone. Okay, we don't want to get copyrighted on YouTube. So let's go and check out some of the features. So this does have Apple CarPlay. So let's go to home. Do you have to have it plugged in to use Apple CarPlay?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah, when you plug it in, it will usually.
Oh.
I grab a thing for my car.
Okay, so she's gonna go grab an iPhone cable. It does have a USB port here. So while she's doing that, let me show you some of the features. So again, it's got a volume knob that is really nice. And this is a super nice volume knob. It's got a really sturdy kind of clicking feeling to it. It doesn't feel cheap at all. The touchscreen is really reactive. So I was watching some head unit videos like the one Donut Media did, and the $50 head unit that he bought, like you touch it and it would take like 2 or 3 seconds to actually do anything. This is super responsive. So excited to see how the Apple CarPlay looks. There's an aux jack too, but I don't know who's using that these days. There it is, Apple CarPlay. So we've got the maps. We can go back to the home screen here. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool to have that in a 1995 car. It's got the, oh, we're not gonna show that. The map, yeah. So it's got maps, it's got, you can check your messages, everything Apple CarPlay has. Really awesome. And we can go to Spotify, and let's see, recently played Chainsmokers. So yeah, this is pretty awesome. Really nice head unit. We're gonna go ahead and go for a drive, test it out, make sure the sound quality is good, and that should wrap it up.